welcome and thank you for joining. Today I will present how indigenous knowledge, I will use the abbreviation IK because we'll be using indigenous knowledge so different times in the presentation. So how indigenous knowledge in Sudan plays a vital role in healing both people and ecosystem in the aftermath of war, using nature-based solution as an integrative framework. This chapter is being prepared by me and co-author Professor Hassan Subki. Actually, Professor Hassan Subki is from University of Khartoum Faculty of Pharmacy, but being the Dean for Ibn Sina College, Pharmacy College at Ibn Sina University. So I will be starting with the presentation overview. This presentation is structured around 8 thematic pillars. We begin with the context, highlighting the dual crisis of war-induced collapse in both health and environment in Sudan. Then we move to the rationale behind focusing on indigenous knowledge as a response to this crisis. Next, we introduce the framework linking indigenous knowledge with traditional medicine and nature-based solution, followed by evidence gathered from communities and ecosystem on the ground. So we will also examine the policy landscape, identifying the global commitments versus national gaps, and then we move to the barriers represented by legal, institutional, cultural that hinder effective integration. From there, we propose the strategic pathways for integration, and finally, we share our vision and set of recommendations for a resilient, nature, positive, and inclusive Sudan. Sudan today is a country marked by an immense suffering. The war has destroyed the health system. Hospitals are non-functional. Health workers have fled, and there is limited access to clean water or medicine. At the same time, the environment is collapsing. Deforestation, soil degradation, and water scarcity have worsened, also driven by both climate change and conflict. These two crises, health and environment, are deeply interconnected. People who are ill cannot heal in degraded environment, and the degraded environment worsen the health outcomes. This dual crisis sets the stage for understanding the urgent need for a holistic, community-based responses rooted in indigenous knowledge. And from the map, you see how the conflict zone in red and the war impacts in orange, the healthcare collapse, the zone where, or the areas where the health care was collapsed, and also the environmental stress. So why indigenous knowledge matters? In the absence of functioning state institutions, communities across Sudan are turning inward to systems of knowledge that have existed for generations. Indigenous knowledge matters now because it is accessible, trusted, and adaptive. It's not just about folklore. It's about survival, how to purify water, heal wounds, protect biodiversity, and resolve disputes. Unlike top-down interventions, IK is deeply embedded in local culture and ecosystems, making it more sustainable and immediately applicable. In crisis zones, where outside it is minimal or sporadic, IK becomes the primary source of resilience and hope. So the conceptual framework behind the IK, the TM, the traditional medicine, and the nature MBS, the nature-based solution, this framework shows how indigenous knowledge overlaps with traditional medicine and nature-based solutions. IK provides a foundation knowledge passed down orally, often encoded in rituals and land use practices and storytelling. Traditional medicine is one of its most visible forms, especially in areas with no doctor or pharmacist. Nature-based solutions come into play where IK-based practices restore ecosystem. For example, using traditional water harvesting system or community reforestation rituals. Together, these three elements form a practical and culturally grounded model for health and environmental recovery. From the global policy context or perspective, we have maybe 3 or 4 agreements or protocols, like the Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD. This had been in 1992, and then the Nagoya Protocol, recognizing the value of indigenous knowledge and call for fair access and benefit sharing. These agreements aim to ensure the communities benefit when their knowledge or genetic resources are used. For Sudan, the challenge is to translate these global commitments into national laws and policies that protect local rights and promote equity. Here in the slide, you see to your right-hand side how the access and benefit sharing, the different agreements, and how Sudan is in these agreements. Then the cultural foundation of the traditional medicine. Actually, traditional medicine in Sudan is not just about herbs. It's deeply cultural and spiritual. Healing is rooted in rituals, ancestral knowledge, and community belief systems. Indigenous healers are more than practitioners. They are seen as guardians of both physical and spiritual well-being. Treatments include ceremonies, chants, and cosmological understanding, making healing a holistic experience that reconnects people with their land and heritage. So the role of IK, indigenous knowledge in rural healthcare. In rural Sudan, 60 to 70% of people depend on traditional medicine as their main source of health care. And all of us, we know that how we are using traditional medicine, especially now. If I want to remind the floor that during the Corona or the COVID-19, most of the people that depending on the acacia and nilotica, what do we call it, el garab, and other different traditional medicine to treat the syndrome at that time. So where clinics and hospitals are absent or non-functional, indigenous knowledge fills the gap, offering care that is trusted, accessible, adapted to local conditions. Supporting indigenous knowledge in these areas is not a cultural luxury, it is a public health necessity. So this is example for common herbal remedies in Sudan. Actually, in Sudan, we have a lot of millions of maybe of herbal remedies. But now we are giving example. We have harjal, maharib, the senabots, and the hibiscus. So all of us, we know this herbal medicine used for malaria, wounds, digestive and spiritual elements. Multi-purpose remedies rooted in ecological knowledge. So Sudan communities use a range of these herbal remedies. These remedies reflect the deep ecological knowledge often passed down through generation and tailored to local environments. So the environmental stewardship and indigenous knowledge. In many indigenous communities, healers are also environmental stewards. هم المعالجين ولا الهيلرز زي اللي هم حمال البيئة برضو. They follow ethical practices, harvesting only what is needed. This is sustainability, and rotating collection sites to allow regeneration, also sustainability. Spiritual taboos and customs عندنا في بعض المناطق في الإنجسن يمكن بروفيسور سبكي حيتكلم عنها often protect certain trees, groves or species, creating a natural form of conservation. This shows how cultural beliefs directly support biodiversity, blending ecological care with spiritual responsibility. So, barriers to indigenous knowledge integration in policy. Despite its value, indigenous knowledge is often dismissed or unscientific or outdated, which limits its role in formal policy. So there is lack of legal recognition and institutional framework to support indigenous knowledge, and a clear disconnect between traditional healers and formal health. So we just want to give some example about the regional lessons from our neighboring countries. We have Ethiopia, Rwanda, Mozambique, and also we get Burkina Faso as a special case. In neighboring countries offer valuable models. In Ethiopia, traditional medicine is formally recognized and healers are licensed under national policy. In Rwanda, they have integrated indigenous knowledge into post-genocide healing and reconciliation, showing how cultural system can support psychological recovery. Mozambique uses also a decentralized conservation model, empowering communities to manage natural resources using local knowledge. These cases show how indigenous knowledge can effectively integrate it into national system where there is political will and community involvement. And this is what we are in need. I have a short video, maybe for 1-2 minutes, about Burkina Faso, because Burkina Faso is set to formally integrate traditional medicine into its national healthcare, as announced by the president, Ibrahim Traore. The initiative is part of the national health policy, aims to establish traditional medicine departments in regional and university hospitals. Let us see the video.
In a historic move, President Ibrahim Traore has officially integrated traditional medicine into every hospital in Burkina Faso. The groundbreaking policy is already transforming the nation's healthcare system. According to the country's top medical researchers, the use of indigenous herbs and roots, scientifically validated and administered by trained professionals, has achieved 100% recovery rates in many cases. Unlike conventional medicine that often manages conditions, these natural treatments are delivering full cures. This success comes from a powerful collaboration between Burkina Faso and China. Thousands of Burkinabe doctors have been trained through a bilateral agreement, equipping them to identify, harvest, and prepare medicinal plants with precision from forest to final dosage. Every herb is grown locally, no imports needed. The result? Massive job creation, youth training, and a booming new sector that's already generating billions in revenue. This is more than medicine. It's a movement, healing people, building an economy, and reclaiming Africa's ancient medical wisdom. Burkina Faso just changed the game.
So then we came to the end, maybe the last 2 or 3 slides. Strategic pathways to mainstream indigenous knowledge. So to mainstream indigenous knowledge, we need legal recognition and protection to safeguard it from loss or misuse. Indigenous knowledge should be formally linked to nature-based solutions and public health strategies, ensuring it plays a role in national development plan. So supporting traditional healers through network training and community resource centers will help to preserve and strengthening these vital systems. Our vision places indigenous knowledge at the center of Sudan recovery, where healing the land goes hand in hand by healing its people. By restoring ecosystem, we rebuild health, revive cultural identity, and create foundation for lasting peace. As communities say, healing begins with the land and with the people. This is the path to a resilient and inclusive Sudan. So our key recommendations that we propose: first, to establish a national indigenous knowledge authority to coordinate recognition and regulation support. Then we have to protect medicinal landscape and uphold community rights. Thirdly, we should integrate indigenous knowledge into education, health, and climate policies. So to conclude, with indigenous knowledge is not optional. It's essential for Sudan resilience, peace, and healing. Recovery must be community-led, grounded in dignity, and centered on restoring both people and ecosystems. While rooted in local tradition, this approach has global relevance, showing how nature and culture together can lead the way forward. Thank you very much.